Bruce Lee. Nothing could be worse than hurting the person who you truly care and who you truly love. And for that reason, Bruce Lee has been keeping his love affair a secret from his wife, Linda Lee Cadwell. Today, we unfold his secret lover and open up the skeletons in his closet. For those of you who do not know who Linda is, this is a short clip showing us the woman behind the mega successful superstar.
I am Linda Lee Cadwell, and I was married to Bruce for 9 years from 1964 to 1973.
She is the widow of martial arts master and actor Bruce Lee and the mother of Brandon Lee and Shannon Lee. Bruce Lee was as talented in bed as he was at martial arts. He left one mistress feeling like he took me to the moon and back. The latest report on the Kung Fu legend claims that actress Sharon Farrell thought that Bruce just turned me inside out because he understood her body so well. Farrell was just one of Bruce's many conquests, even though he was married to wife Linda Lee, the mother of his 2 children. But it wasn't hard to see why the star was such a ladies' man. Lee had the body of an 18-year-old when he was 32, thanks to his constant training and raw hamburger beef smoothies he drank for his protein. The inside story of Bruce Womanizing is revealed exclusively here on Celebrity Reporter. The star once admitted he was not a saint when it came to his love life. Actress Sharon Farrell says she met the star while he was working as an advisor on the set of The Wrecking Crew and walked up to her in the MGM studio parking lot and charmed her into bed. He would impress women by showing off his kung fu moves and cha-cha dancing, and even underwent circumcision to be more like an American. Despite his reputation for being vain and arrogant, women were drawn to him because of his chiseled abs and for what one blonde West German glamour girl called his indescribable magnetism. Bruce died at the age of 32 in 1973, just a few weeks before the release of Enter the Dragon, the first big Western-produced kung fu film. The movie turned him into a cultural icon, introduced the world to his Taoist philosophy, and opened the door to martial arts in the West. But in life, Bruce was not as measured as he was on screen and never fully managed his temper and craving for control. His behavior outplayed him in his treatment for women. Before Bruce became a film star, he taught Kung Fu to celebrity in Los Angeles and counted actors James Coburn and Steve McQueen among his clients. One thing Bruce Lee claimed to learn from McQueen was be in charge of everything on the set. Another was to cut a wide swath through the female production of actress, groupies, housewife, and head check girls. In 1969, Bruce was an advisor for the film The Wrecking Crew when he met actress Farrell. At that time, Bruce's wife had just given birth to their second child, a daughter, Shannon. But he walked up to Farrell in the MGM studio parking and charmed her into bed. Farrell said, "He was the first man I had ever been with who had such a beautiful body. Those abs, his muscles were so defined. It was as if they were chiseled. Bruce was the most incredible lover I've been with. He was just so knowledgeable about a woman's body." The affair was very much on Bruce's terms, and he would say, "I'm coming over," and dragged me into the bedroom, said Farrell, who eventually ended their fling to be with Steve McQueen. She said, Bruce took me to the moon and back. He just turned me inside out. But he was married and didn't have a pot to pee in. Steve was successful. He was my protector. I was in love with Steve, but Bruce was the love of my life. Bruce also had a fling with his co-star on Way of the Dragon, Nora Mel, though she has never confirmed or denied it. Bruce tenderly held her hand and got food for her. His affection all too apparent, but his most well-known mistress was Betty Tinkpei, claims Polly, an actress who met him on the set of Way of the Dragon. Betty says she was with him all the time at the studio, while actor Anders Nelson confirmed Bruce was engrossed with Betty. With Betty, Bruce did not seem to care about getting caught and would take her out in public, once reportedly buying her a new Mercedes-Benz as a gift. When challenged about it by actress Nancy Quant, one of his students and his friends, Bruce said, "Oh Nancy, it doesn't mean anything. It's just a fling. I got rid of her. She doesn't mean anything to me. I have plenty of girls." During the 1970s, films Way of the Dragon and Game of Death turned Bruce into the biggest star in Hong Kong and the most famous person in Southeast Asia. It also earned him an invitation from Warner Bros. To make Enter the Dragon the first Western Kung Fu movie. Bruce would be the star, but the most contentious role to cast was Mei Ling, the undercover agent who helps Bruce to infiltrate the island owned by Hunt, the Valiant. Bruce had promised Betty the role since their relationship had grown more serious, so she rented a room 15 minutes away from his home to see him more easily. He would later give the part to somebody else, sparking a role between the two, and ultimately their breakup. However, when confronted by the media regarding the love affair of Bruce and Betty, Betty has strongly denied the allegations. Here we have an exclusive interview showing Betty talking about this.
講到緣分啊，咁我啊諗起就武俠巨星李小龍。
哦，
你同佢都好有緣分喎，睇嚟啊。咁你哋最初第一次係點樣相識嘅咧？
一定要問呢啲問題啊！因為我覺得我丁佩咧係一個敢做敢當嘅人，即係如果我做咗咧就做咗，如果我真係同小龍咧即係做愛，佢死咗啦，我都會承認。
With that interview, it has caused a swift public discussion that shocked the nation. Till this day, the public opinion is divided into two, with one side believing Betty is innocent, while the other claims Betty is a cheap woman, one who has no sense of pride and integrity. How or why Bruce's wife, Linda, put up with this philandering behavior is not entirely clear, but her supporters say that she has never been properly understood. Born Linda Emery in Seattle, she grew up in a Baptist family who disapproved of mixed marriages and wed Bruce over the objections of her mother and father, though the latter came around. According to the report, Bruce's youngest brother, Robert Lee, said, as a bachelor, Bruce liked to have affairs with beautiful, flashy girls, but he married a quiet, sensitive girl who knew how to listen and would let him have his way. As Bruce told an interview in 1966, Linda is more oriental than some of the Chinese I know. She is quiet, calm, and doesn't yak all the time. Linda, now 76, more diplomatically as the perfect partner for a brilliant, volatile, and extroverted man. Their friend Taki Kimura said, "Nobody has given Linda the credit she deserves. This woman has been one hell of a pillar of strength." In fairness, Bruce Hollywood's friends were never faithful, and he was a star in the Mad Men era, where a generation of men acted with impunity while their wives were expected to stay home with the kids. Bruce did address his cheating to Linda, but only in a hypothetical way. "If I ever had an affair with a woman, it would be something that happened spontaneously. I would never plan or decide to have a mistress or anything of that nature," Bruce told her. But his arrangement with Betty seemed at odds with this. Bruce said that if Linda ever found out about an affair, it would have absolutely no importance at all. He said, "All that matters to me is you and the children. Infidelity has no real bearing on the marriage. Fleeting attraction for another female has no significance regarding a matter so fundamental as a marriage." But Linda grew enraged as Bruce said, "Men are like that." Bruce Lee was born Lee Jun-fan in San Francisco in 1940. His father, Lee Hoi-chin, was a Cantonese opera singer and actor, and his mother, Grace Ho, was a socialite in Hong Kong, where they raised him. In his youth, Bruce formed a gang of schoolmates and got expelled from his posh Catholic school for pulling a knife on a PE instructor. He also forced another boy to pull down his pants and painted his genitals red with paint he had stolen from a construction site. His antics eventually put him on the police list of delinquents. In his youth, Bruce starred in more than a dozen films, but his parents put his career on ice due to his poor grades. Given that he was an American citizen, he decided to move to the US to make a new life for himself, and in 1959 he set sail for San Francisco, his birthplace. While working as a dishwasher, he taught cha-cha dancing, earning him many female admirers. He spent his spare time studying martial arts and teaching workshops where he developed his own style he said was superior to classical forms, which he found too rigid. On June 9, 1967, he gave his method the name Jeet Kune Do, meaning the way of intercepting fists. Here we have an exclusive sit-down interview with his wife Linda, telling us all about Bruce Lee's struggle and how he developed his worldwide famous Jeet Kune Do.
When I first met him in Seattle, Washington, where I lived, and we both went to the University of Washington, he was teaching classes in Kung Fu, what he called Zhanfang Kung Fu. And I took lessons from him. And at that time, that was his dream, was to teach martial arts, to bring the beauty of his martial arts, Chinese Kung Fu, to the American people and to the world. He was the genuine article. He was that person in the films. He was not a different person off screen than he was on screen. He was vibrant and he was full of life, and he was the real thing.
From boxing, Bruce took the footwork. From Kung Fu, its kicks, and from fencing, the movement. He also developed the philosophical side and saw Taoism as a way to manage one's own ego, greed, and anger. Bruce was a fitness innovator and incorporated weightlifting into his routine years before pro athletes did the same. He used an electrical muscle stimulator machine, but he went over the top, cranking it up so high would curl his hair. He experimented with his diet and downed raw hamburger, meat smoothies for their protein. Several times a day, he drank a beverage made of Rio Blay protein powder, ice water, powdered milk, eggs, eggshells, bananas, vegetable, oil, peanut, flour, and chocolate ice cream. His regime made him bulk out and led to the speculation that Bruce used steroids. And while author Polly says it is possible he tried them, there is no evidence to suggest regular use of steroids. Bruce loved to show off his latest gadgets and inventions, and nobody ever recalled him mentioning steroids. In his first year of college at the University of Washington, Bruce fell completely in love with a Japanese-American sophomore called Amy Sambo, a dancer, and had a tempestuous on and off relationship that lasted 2 years. Sambo said, "When I perform, it's almost orgasmic. It is very sexual," and Bruce was like that too. "I'm horribly addicted to the talent," and Bruce was a kinetic genius. The problem in their relationship was their different outlooks. Bruce had a 1950s view of gender roles, who believed his girlfriend should put him first, but Sambo was a feminist jazz singer who wanted her own career. Amy loved Bruce, but he also drove her crazy. She felt he was suffocating her, always wanting to know where she was going and with whom. Bruce repeatedly asked Sambo to marry him, but she refused and broke things off in spring 1963, leaving Bruce devastated. He got over it and became so committed to his new life in America that he even got circumcised while on a trip home to Hong Kong. Bruce explained what he had done to his family by dropping his pants for them to see. When asked by his brother Robert as to why he did it, Bruce said, "It's what they do in America. I'm American. I want to look the part." Bruce moved back to San Francisco, where his kung fu exhibitions caught the attention of TV producers who cast him as Kato in the series The Green Hornet. It was here he met Todis Brandt, a blonde from West Germany and one of the glamour girls of the 1960s, and had a fling with her. Brandt said, "He had a magnetism that was indescribable. Bruce was very quiet and shy, but could be very aggressive if he wanted to be. He was a show-off and always wanted to flaunt his body." Their relationship lasted a few months until Brandt's on and off lover, James Arness, the star of the TV series Gunsmoke, found out she was dating Bruce and hired private detectives to investigate him. They quickly found out he was married and had a young child, Anto Brandt. Bruce did not wear a wedding ring and failed to tell her about his marriage. The Green Hornet was Bruce's big break, and he leveraged it to start teaching celebrity clients like McQueen, who returned the favor by introducing Bruce to marijuana, which became a lifelong habit. Bruce once supposedly kicked a door off its hinges to impress Frank Sinatra, a story that may not have been true but spread throughout Hollywood, making Bruce even more in demand as a martial art coach and film consultant. Bruce got more small parts, including the TV series Longstreet, and in 1970, on a visit home to Hong Kong, he was shocked to find reporters waiting for him at the airport. The Green Hornet had just screened, and it was so popular that locals jokingly renamed it the Kato Show, because they were so proud to see a Chinese national on an American TV series. The next year, Raymond Chow, a top Hong Kong kung fu film producer, signed Bruce to make 2 films that would make his name. When The Big Boss opened, it took in Hong Kong $1 million in its first 3 days, beating the record of The Sound of Music. Bruce had used his knowledge of Hollywood production and his kung fu technique to make his already impressive skills look amazing on screen. It was the perfect fusion of East and West, and the Washington Post said that he had a Cagney-esque cockiness and early Steve McQueen non-challenge. The follow-up, Fists of Fury, did even better and established Bruce as a box office gold in Hong Kong. When Warner Bros. Put Enter the Dragon into production, it was everything Bruce had dreamed for. His own project with an American film company, with him in complete control. A lesser man would have taken his foot off the gas, but not Bruce, even if it left him exhausted and gaunt. He had a near miss in May 1970 after collapsing and going into spasms following an editing session in a sweltering dubbing room with no air conditioning. A doctor diagnosed him with cerebral edema, or more commonly known as swelling of the brain, and Bruce admitted that he had eaten some Nepalese hash shortly before the episode. Bruce's death 2 months later became a national scandal in Hong Kong. When it emerged, he had been at Betty's house at the time of his death, a fact that his managers tried to cover up. Once the press discovered the truth, they turned the case into frenzy, even speculating that he died with an erection. Reporters bribed their way into the morgue to try and get Victoria evidence. Other rumors claimed that Bruce's body had been switched when Linda flew his remains to Seattle, where she buried him in a quiet ceremony, a contrast to the public outpouring of thousands in Hong Kong. This concludes that Bruce probably died from heat stroke or hypothermia, because he had a previous such episode and it was 90 degrees with 84% humidity on the day he died. Bruce had been in Betty's apartment acting out scenes from Game of Death, meaning that he had worked up a sweat and he was already exhausted and had lost 20 pounds, leaving him looking gaunt with dark rings under his eyes. It is thought that Bruce was misdiagnosed during his previous collapse because doctors were not aware of heat stroke in the way they are now. Enter the Dragon, which cost US $850,000 to make, rake in $90 million and will go on to make over $350 million over the next 45 years. Only after that did Bruce achieve what he has spent his whole life fighting for.
However, it was difficult for him to break into the Hollywood circuit as an established actor because of prejudice towards him being Chinese. The studio said that a Chinese leading man in a film was not acceptable. So Bruce set out to prove them wrong.